Glossary in Use Midterm Project by Teresa James. Just-in-time is a strategy used by companies to eliminate waste, reduce storage costs, avoid excess inventory handling, and free up working capital. The just-in-time production and inventory method was developed by Toyota in post-war Japan to eliminate waste and improve efficiency. It involves ordering parts or inventory only when they are needed to manufacture a product or fulfill a customer's order. An example of just-in-time can be seen at Subway. The sandwiches are not pre-made. Instead, when a customer places an order, the sandwich is prepared immediately using fresh ingredients that are kept in small quantities and replenished frequently. The product is made specifically for the customer at the time of the order, which helps to reduce waste and ensures freshness. On the other hand, pre-making burritos and setting them out for customers at a travel center could lead to waste if the forecast of sales is incorrect. If demand is lower than expected, the food may not be sold and would need to be discarded. This illustrates how producing items before they are ordered can increase waste and inventory costs compared to a just-in-time system. Quality control involves having oversight of the product or services to ensure that the promised product or service is delivered to the customer. The function of quality control is to test the product or service randomly and identify defects or problems that need to be corrected before the product or service reaches the customer. One funny example of quality control that comes to mind is the scene in I Love Lucy, where Lucy and Ethel are eating the chocolates off the assembly line. Although it was to keep up with how fast the chocolates were moving, one could imagine that chocolates should be randomly tasted to make sure the product is fresh and tasty. A restaurant I recently went to in Albuquerque might benefit from better quality control. The food I received was not prepared as expected, and everyone in our party was dissatisfied with the food. With stronger quality control procedures, such as checking orders before they are served and ensuring consistent food preparation, the restaurant could improve customer satisfaction. Quality control would help ensure the customers receive the correct orders and that the food meets the restaurant's standards every time. This would likely improve the restaurant's reputation and encourage customers to return. Inventory management is counting, ordering, selling, and securing products or parts to ensure what is on hand meets customers' demands each day. Inventory is an asset for the company, is the cost of goods sold, and is paid for by cash, but is usually on the books as a liability. It is very important to keep a watchful eye on the inventory to avoid shrinkage, spoiling, and overstock. Inventory management is very important in stores. The manager or person in charge of the inventory must keep track of all the products in the store and reorder when items are getting low. They are also in charge of returns to manufacturers for items that are spoiled. Items can be marked down in price or donated if products are not selling near the expiration date. A physical count of the inventory is usually done once or twice a year to make sure the actual matches what is represented in the inventory management system. Capacity planning is the process of determining how much of a product or service will be demanded by customers and ensuring that staffing, inventory, and equipment are available to meet that demand. Businesses must plan their resources carefully so that they can operate efficiently without overproducing or falling short of customer needs. There are two main types of capacity to consider. Theoretical capacity is the maximum output a business could achieve if everything runs perfectly with no interruptions. Effective capacity is the level of output a business can realistically achieve after accounting for normal disruptions such as maintenance, employee breaks, or equipment downtime. An example of capacity planning is a donut shop. The donut makers are theoretically capable of making 300 donuts a day, but the shop plans based on projected sales and available staff. If only 200 donuts are expected to sell, staff and equipment are scheduled to meet that demand efficiently. This way, the shop balances customer demand with resources and avoids overproduction. Work in process, or WIP, refers to products or assets that are currently in the production process but are not yet completed. WIP includes the cost of raw materials, labor, and overhead accumulated from the beginning of a project until completion. In production and supply chain operations, WIP is an important key performance indicator because it helps identify bottlenecks, reduce waste, and improve efficiency. In accounting, WIP is also used to track and record the total cost of an asset before it is capitalized. Using manufacturing as an example, producing a widget begins with raw materials. The widget then moves through several processes known as work in progress, where labor and machinery are used until the product is completed. The cost of the widget and the value of the inventory can be calculated based on the percentage of completion of the WIP each month. This method helps businesses track production costs and monitor progress during the manufacturing process. Six Sigma is a business philosophy and statistical measure that seeks to have at most 3.4 errors per million opportunities. This business approach is to find and eliminate all errors in processes in manufacturing and service. The defects per unit equals the number of defects discovered divided by the number of units produced times 1 million. In service, errors per million opportunities is used. Six Sigma is used as a long-term strategy for continuous process improvement. High qualified individuals are referred to as green belts, black belts, and master black belts who know how to lead teams and apply tools to overcome resistance to change and achieve overall company objectives. An example of Six Sigma can be seen in a restaurant. If a restaurant prepares 1,000 meals in a week and customers report several incorrect orders, management can analyze the process to find where the mistakes occur. Using Six Sigma methods, the restaurant might improve order-taking procedures, train staff, or adjust the kitchen workflow to reduce errors. The goal is to minimize mistakes so that nearly every order is correct, improving efficiency and customer satisfaction. There are two main types of forecasting methods: statistical and judgmental. Statistical forecasting uses historical data and mathematical models to predict future outcomes, such as time series analysis and regression analysis. These methods rely on patterns, trends, and numerical analysis to estimate demand or performance. Judgmental forecasting, on the other hand, relies on human experience, intuition, and expert opinions when making predictions, especially when there is little or no historical data available. Many organizations use a combination of both methods to improve the accuracy of their forecasts. An example of statistical forecasting would be a grocery store looking at its sales data from the previous 3 years to determine the demand for certain foods during the 4th of July holiday. By analyzing past purchasing patterns, the store can estimate how much food customers are likely to buy. This helps the store order the right amount of inventory and avoid running out of popular items. An example of judgmental forecasting would be relying on staff and management to remember what was sold out last year and order more of that item to avoid the same mishap. Purchasing is the process of buying supplies and materials for a company after receiving a requisition that has been approved and signed by management. The purchasing department looks for the best prices and sources for the items needed and then places the order using a company credit card or by issuing a purchase order. Having a dedicated purchaser or purchasing department is important because it serves as a central point of contact for all procurement activities. This ensures that upper management is aware of what is being purchased and that the process is properly supervised. It also helps control costs by preventing unnecessary or duplicate purchases and by allowing for better negotiation with suppliers. An example of purchasing at a casino is when each department fills out a requisition form for the supplies or project materials they need. The form is then reviewed and signed by the department director and the general manager. Once it is approved, a purchase order is recorded in the system, meaning that permission is given to move forward with the project or that the purchaser may place the order for the requested items. Cost control means adhering to a yearly budget and paying attention to the cost of items purchased for your department and the scheduling of employees during particular hours. Management should identify and eliminate or reduce expenses to increase profits and stay within its budget. An example of cost control is in a hotel. The management monitors the use of cleaning supplies and orders only what is needed to avoid waste. They also scheduled housekeeping staff based on occupancy levels so employees work efficiently without extra labor costs. Additionally, they might negotiate with suppliers for better rates on linens and toiletries to reduce expenses while staying within the budget. Outsourcing is when a business hires an external company to handle a task or service instead of doing it in-house. Companies often outsource when they lack the expertise, resources, or reliability internally, or when it is more cost-effective than using their own staff. This can apply to functions like payroll, IT support, cleaning services, or manufacturing certain products. Outsourcing helps businesses focus on their core operations while controlling costs, saving time, and improving efficiency. An example of outsourcing is having the HR department submit hours to an outside payroll company for processing. The outside payroll company processes tax payments and quarterly and yearly form submissions to the IRS and Social Security. This is done for a nominal fee. Another example is hiring an outside company that deals primarily in cleaning carpets to come in and shampoo carpets regularly rather than using maintenance staff who cannot work off hours to accomplish this task.